All right, let's get light into it. We're going to break down a monumental song, Bob Dylan's High Water for Charley Patton. Now, it's from his 2001 album, Love and Theft. And yeah, on the surface, it's about a flood. But as you're about to see, this isn't just about the weather. Nope. It's about history, culture, and this feeling of crisis, all rising at the same time.
And this quote, man, it just nails the feeling of the song. It's this atmosphere of being completely overwhelmed, where the crisis isn't just some event happening outside. It's getting inside everything. It's this intense pressure, this overflow, where the very things you rely on feel like they're about to get washed away.
So that's the big question, right? How does a song so deeply rooted in American blues and a specific historical event manage to capture this feeling of civilizational stress that feels so incredibly relevant right now? Let's start peeling back the layers. Okay, so first up, a flood of meaning. To really get this song, we have to talk about its apocalyptic feel, but maybe not in the way you're thinking. This definition is a real game changer. So think less, end of the world, and more big reveal. The song isn't trying to predict doom. It's showing us the cracks that are already there. The flood is just pulling back the curtain and revealing how fragile our systems and our confidence in them really are. And here's the key. The chaos in the song is cultural just as much as it's natural. That flood of water, it mirrors a flood of information. You've got names, places, echoes from history. They all come rushing into the song at once, and it creates this feeling of complete overload. You're not just trying to keep your head above water, you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on in a world that's just throwing too much at you. Okay, so where did Dylan get all this stuff, all these raw materials for this feeling? Well, to figure that out, we have to look back, way back, starting with the song's dedication. You see, when Dylan puts Charley Patton's name right there in the title, he's doing more than just giving a nod to a legend. It's like he's opening a portal. That name immediately transports us to the world of the Mississippi Delta, the birth of the blues, and this deep, painful, historical memory of disaster.
And you can see how these moments in time just stack up. First, you've got Patton, a giant of the Delta blues in the 20s. Then, bam, the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927. A huge, defining catastrophe for that whole era. And then, decades later, you have Dylan in 2001 pulling all of it together into something new and unsettling.
1.5 million. Just let that sink in for a second. That's how many people were displaced by that 1927 flood. This wasn't just some bad weather, you know? This was an event that literally tore apart the fabric of society. And this is an absolutely critical point. A flood is never just nature. See, a disaster like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. It hits a society that already has power structures, issues of race and labor. And in 1927, it was the Black communities in the Delta who were hit the hardest. They had the least protection. So the flood didn't just wash over the land. It flowed right through the cracks in society, making deep inequalities so much worse. And get this, all of this is happening on an album called Love and Theft. The title itself gives us the perfect way to think about it. Dylan is always playing with this tension, right? On one hand, is he showing his love, his reverence for the tradition of Charley Patton? Or is he just taking it, borrowing it, reusing it for his own thing? The whole song exists in that really fascinating, maybe even uncomfortable space between the two. Okay, so we've got the historical pieces, we've got the raw materials, but how does he actually build the feeling? How does Dylan engineer this specific, inescapable dread? Well, it's kind of like a three-part machine. First, there's that relentless beat. It just pushes and pushes, so the crisis feels like it's moving, like it's coming for you. Second, you hear these phrases over and over, but nothing ever gets resolved. It's like you're stuck in a loop you can't get out of. And third, there's his voice. Dylan's voice sounds like it's been through it, right? It's weathered, it's urdent, like he's reporting from inside the disaster, not just watching it from a distance. Lyrically, the song isn't telling a simple A to B to C story. It's more like a collage. He's just grabbing all these different fragments of American culture, little bits of the past that are still floating around, and smashing them together. The meaning isn't in some linear plot. It's in the pressure, the friction you feel when all those pieces get crammed into one space. And here are just a few of those fragments he throws in the mix. You hear names like the blues shouter Big Joe Turner, places like Kansas City. You hear the rhythms and the words of old blues songs. It's as if all of American history is getting flooded at once, and all this cultural debris is just swirling around in that high water. So this brings us to the big one, the most important question, really. Why does this song, a song built out of stuff from the 1920s, feel like it could have been written yesterday? I think the real magic of the song is that it's not locked into one specific time. It describes a pattern, a feeling of breakdown, of being overloaded with information, this sense that old ghosts are coming back to haunt us. And because it's a pattern, every new generation can pour its own anxieties right into it. And wow, the connections to our world today are just impossible to ignore. That flood imagery, it speaks directly to our anxiety about climate change and extreme weather. That feeling of authority just failing, it perfectly mirrors our distrust in institutions. And that theme of unequal exposure, of who gets hit the hardest, that is at the very center of our debates today about social and climate justice. So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. High water is so powerful because it feels emotionally true to our time. It perfectly captures how crisis feels now. It's not usually one big bang. It's more like a slow rising tide, a constant pressure building up. And that feeling, well, it seems to be one of those things that just keeps repeating throughout history. So that leaves us with a question to chew on. Dylan used an old form, the blues, to talk about a very modern kind of anxiety. So what about today? What old forms are artists using right now? And what hidden cracks in our own world are they helping us to see?